Good morning, Milwaukee family. Good morning. Good morning. This is Deb Nevels with Your Health and You. And today, you don't want to miss it. This is something that is, people do not think about it a lot. But today we're talking a little bit about stuff that's really close to my heart. We're talking about caregiving and the cost of always being strong. One of the things that I always like to say is many years ago, I got rid of my cape of being that superwoman. We buried that cape, um, and we decided that that superwoman was no longer going to be there. But there's so many people, so many of us that continue to be caregivers in the community, and we really don't think about what we do. It's just kind of autopilot. But we have got to think about what impact this has on your health, what impact this has on what you're able to do as you are caring for others. I am joined this morning by several guests that are experts in this. And so I ask you, Milwaukee family, to make sure that you tune in and call in. The number, write this down because you'll want to join in. The number to join us this morning, 414-444-5250 and 414-444-5253. Before we get started, as always, I'm joined by one of my Health Griot co-hosts, Mr. Willie D. Ellis. He is a prostate cancer survivor. 7 years, is it, Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
7 years, 7 years. So as always, we start off Your Health and You with talking a little bit about his journey, his story. So Mr. Ellis, tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and what you went through.
Good morning. My name again is Willie D. Ellis, and I thank God for being here this morning and being a survivor of prostate cancer, as I've been a survivor for 7 years. And I guess one of my journeys was when I first was diagnosed, I was 65 years old. And when the doctor asked me had I ever had my PSAs checked, I said no. She says, well, we're going to do that today. And first thing I thought about was she was going to violate my privacy. And she says, no, it's just a simple blood test. So we did the blood test. And later that afternoon, she called me back right away and she says, I need you to come back in and we need to talk because your PSA is over 9. And I said, okay. And then after doing that, I went and I saw the oncologist and the urologist, and we sit down and we talked. My wife, my daughter talked about it. And I guess one of the things with me is having people in my family that had prostate cancer and had breast cancer and had colon cancer and so forth. So I didn't feel that it was a death notice, but it was kind of a surprise to me because the simple reason is I felt healthy. I didn't have no symptoms or anything. And to further that is one of the things then that happened is my wife and my daughter and I, we went and like I said, we talked to the doctors. The doctors gave us options, gave me options as to whether I wanted to have surgery, whether I wanted to have radiation. And I chose radiation because in my own personal belief, I was thinking about, okay, if they're going to cut on me, then what happens is they might make a mistake and the blood might get outside of the, not the blood, but the cancer might get outside of the prostate. And so as that was why I chose that. But to give you a little bit of a background on that, after doing all of these things, one of the most important things was I had family. My family basically was there to help me through the journey. Me being who I am, I felt that I was very strong and that I was going to do this, which I did, but I wasn't going to let anybody see that I was hurting inside. So one of the things that I did after I finished my 8 weeks of radiation, as you know, you have to ring the bell. And so when I came out and I rung the bell, all of a sudden then I got emotional. And I think I got emotional because the simple reason I knew that I had finished that journey and they had told me that, okay, you are now cancer free. and it's you will take it from here. You'll have to continue to get your checkups. Fact is, today I will be going back getting my PSAs done at 1:30 today.
Mm,
So hopefully, and once a year I go. So hopefully everything, I don't have no symptoms, and I thank God. I think everything is going to be fine. The other thing that I learned doing that was changing my eating habits. Also, I
mm,
have to give a shout out to my trainer, Leonard Wilson, who basically uh, uh, taught me this the different exercises that I needed to do and how I needed to stay active and so forth. And right now is that's what I'm continuing to do. Fact is, I do two different ones. My wife, like I said, is a not a prostate, breast cancer survivor. So we go to another place, Health as Well, and on Mondays and Wednesdays. And then with my men moving forward, I go Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I find that staying active is one of the better things that I've learned and that I can do. So what I would like to
mhm,
say to the community out there, go and get your screening done. Is if you don't have uh, a regular physician, find one. There's community-based organizations that you can go to um, and get some of these things done free. So please take care of your health because your health is one of the most important things.
mm,
And the other thing, like I said, is with my wife being a cancer survivor and so forth, she's had several surgeries. So I thank her for caring for me. And 25 years ago, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, is I was her caregiver, and
mm,
those are things that you learn and things that you must uh, uh, take pride in, and making sure that the individual go to their appointments and so forth. Being a prostate cancer survivor, being a breast cancer survivor, it's not a death notice if you get it taken care of in
mhm.
time. Thank you.
Awesome, Mr. Ellis. So you have seen both sides of the diagnosis and being a caregiver.
Yes.
And your wife has been seen both sides
Yes,
of the
she's seen both
diagnosis
sides also.
and being a caregiver.
Right,
That's
right, right.
okay.
And if
So,
I would say one other thing about that is being a caregiver can be done in so many different ways.
mm,
Is making sure that the individual go to their appointments, making sure that the individual, um, if they need assistance, that you're there basically give them assistance and so forth, making sure that they take their medication. But sometimes they can be pretty stubborn,
mm.
you know.
They can be, huh? They can be stubborn.
Uh, so you're trying to say I'm stubborn?
No, no, no. I wouldn't say that. I don't
Okay.
know
But no,
because
that is one of the most important things that you do. Make sure they get to their appointments and make sure
mhm,
that you give care and just having a conversation with them, making them feel at ease and knowing that you're there and that somebody's there to help them.
and that caregiving component was so important to impact your recovery. For you could see it on your wife's side, you being there for her, and then her being there for you. That partnership, if you will, during the journey was so critical and so important.
Yes, that was. I thank God for having a wife that's so concerned, and I'd almost I'd like to say on uh, Sunday, which is the 22nd of March. Guess what? It'll be 46 years.
Oh wow.
You know, the same woman is, and I got four wonderful girls, and they also basically was there for the journey and to
Hmm.
encourage me and just be there and ask questions, especially my baby girl Jazz. Being she always does research and so forth and make sure that she keep me abreast of everything that's going on.
That's so cool. And so what I hear is you were spoiled, the only man in a household with five women. If any of the family wants to call in and acknowledge that point, yes. Yes. Okay. This explains so much now, Mr. Ellis.
Well, I don't think I'm spoiled. I think I just have some girls and a
Caring
wife that really
family.
cares,
Yeah. Okay.
and I love them dearly.
Yeah. Well, and this is what's so important is that you've told in your story the key components of you were diagnosed, and your PSA was at 9. It
Yes,
was at 9. So, men, the key message is get your PSA checked. Don't be afraid of getting checked. You're now 6 years, 7 years.
7 years. I'll be 8 years in October.
Okay, and the diagnosis didn't stop you. Matter of fact, you participated in the Health Griots research trial.
Yes, in
I mean,
the
not the Health Griots, Men Moving
Men Moving
Forward.
Forward
Men
trial.
Moving Forward, yes.
Yes, yes.
Program, which taught lifestyle changes, the importance of exercise, eating healthy. Um, and now you continue it with Health is Wealth, which is run by Mr. Leonard Wilson, which we've had on before. So the exercise continues, the healthy lifestyle continues for you and your wife.
Yes.
Yes, that's really cool.
Yes, that's one of the things that I think is very important. And the other thing is, I did during my treatments and so forth.
Mhm.
I'm a retired operating engineer, but I also teach at WRTP Big Step. So
Mhm.
is I never missed a day's work.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
that's my
incredible.
point: is continue to stay strong and believe,
Mhm.
because you are the person. If you move and you do different things and so forth, and don't feel sorry for yourself,
Mm.
you can accomplish a lot. That's one of the most important things: is believing that you're going to be okay.
Mm.
To me, it was.
Never missed a day of work.
Never missed a day of work.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. So to even give us another perspective, and thank you, Mr. Ellis, because it's so important for people to understand, and this is why the community voice is so important, that the diagnosis is not the end.
No, the diagnosis is not the
It's
end.
not
It's
the
not the
end.
end of, like I said, if you go and get your checkups and you do some of the things that you need to do,
Mhm.
do all the things that you need to do, change your eating habits,
Mhm.
exercise, and just be you.
Yeah.
Just don't change just because you've been diagnosed with cancer. It isn't a death notice. Please
Mhm.
be aggressive and make sure that you care for yourself.
Yep. And never miss a day of work.
And never miss a day of work. And and also what that did is what that made me do. And I've always been a person that liked to give back and so forth. But that was
Mhm.
one of the reasons why Mr. Eddie Brooks, who used to be one of our health griots, he was part of Men Moving Forward.
Yeah.
So he was the one who encouraged me to be a griot. And
Mhm.
because he says, you care about people and so forth. So I'm thankful that I can get the message out to the community and so forth. And hopefully we will reach all of you.
Mhm.
I know we want, but I would like to reach all of you instead of part of you.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Part of that team that makes it happen, and that helps with the caregiving are our social workers. And with at Froedtert and at Froedtert Theta Care, um, we are so blessed to have our oncology social workers, and we have one with us today, Miss Anissa.
Hi, good morning.
Right.
Miss Anissa Johnsen, and she is a social worker in the Quality of Life Clinic. You've been doing that you have more than 20 years experience
I
doing
do,
this.
and I've been in the cancer center at main campus at Froedtert for almost 15 years now,
Oh wow.
and Froedtert for almost 20.
Oh wow. Oh wow. That's cool.
Mhm.
That's cool. So part of your experience is, I mean, and as a social worker, and I think all of us kind of have a social work bone in us if we do this work. You support patients, and it's not just the patient, but you also pay close attention to the family at the same time.
Yes. In the US currently, there are over 65 million caregivers. So that
Wow.
averages out to be 1 in 3 adults. And I myself am a cancer caregiver as well. And as a social worker, when we meet with families, the caregivers to us are at the heart of the treatment plan, in the heart of the care plan, because our patients' ability to thrive and stabilize and go into survivorship depends on how we can involve the caregiver and how we can support them in many avenues of their life as well.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about how people get to know that you're there for them.
Yeah, so we are located in Quality of Life, which is where all the support services are housed in the Froedtert Cancer Center. And really, people can get a referral from any team member, they can stop by our clinic. They can call in through the main number. I think people in the community should know that social workers are everywhere. We are in grassroots organizations, nonprofits, hospitals, education systems, justice systems. We're really doing some hard work where we're constantly advocating and empowering and connecting our families and their loved ones to resources so that people can really focus on moving forward. In the oncology world, really focus on getting better.
So what does caregiving look like behind the scenes?
So there are so many avenues of caregiving, and Mr. Ellis touched on this a little bit. The practical aspects that most people think about is the day-to-day in and out tasks. So if I'm a caregiver and my loved one is getting up for the day, I am potentially helping them out of bed. I am helping them shower. I am helping them get dressed. I am then preparing their breakfast for them. I'm cleaning up their breakfast. I'm running errands for them or with them. We're doing medication management. We are also managing finances and medical appointments and transportation for that. We're taking notes at appointments. We're charting our ideas and our thoughts to the care team. And that's in addition to what adults would normally do in their everyday life with cleaning and laundry and their own errands. But now they are taking that on for a whole nother person. And that can be their spouse, it could be a parent, it could be an adult child, maybe it's their neighbor, maybe it's a friend from high school, someone they have stepped up and realized, I'm going to put certain aspects of my own life aside to caregive for this person and make that person a priority. And then there's this whole other aspect of caregiving, which, we call the invisible work, where it's that unaccounted for excessive worrying, the constant pushing aside of their own activities and interests and hobbies, the losing touch and communication with their own social network. And again, prioritizing the people they are caring for, not only to see them survive, but to see them thrive.
Part of what you said as you were going through that list, getting up, getting them out of bed. Now, meanwhile, the caregiver has already done this for themselves.
Correct. The caregiver's day starts earlier and earlier
Yes.
if the needs of their loved one increases.
I know I was caregiver for my dad, he was perfectly fine. He could get along, he could drive and everything for himself, but just keeping the day-to-day tasks, going to doctor's appointments, his medicine, his food, making sure everything was fine. After my mom passed, he moved in with me, and that was hilarious. I should have had cameras. It was so funny. But it was the day-to-day stuff that he would call me in the middle of the day. And I was working. I was divorced, had 2 young girls, and I was like, okay, I have a 3rd child now.
Yes.
But it is one of those things where you go on autopilot of what you're doing, and you don't think of the mental toll and the worry that you have.
Right.
While, you could be at work and you think you're doing what you're doing, but in the back of your head.
Yes. You have another job.
And
that job doesn't stop.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The emotional, mental, and physical strain that caregivers experience. I think when I was thinking about this, I also supported my sister-in-law when she was caregiving for my mother-in-law. And I would kind of be the respite. When she needed to do stuff, I was doing it. And she had Alzheimer's, and she also was funny. She wasn't vocal. She wasn't verbal, but her eyes would tell you everything.
Yeah.
Yes, would tell you everything. But I would worry about her appetite. But the physical, I would lift her, and it was emotional because I could easily carry her, and that was not supposed to be. Even though she was always a small in stature woman, I wasn't supposed to be in a point, where I could pick her up and put her into the bath chair and clean. And that's the emotional, along with the partial physical, but just the thought of that.
Yep. In one of the, I think, hardest emotional aspects of caregiving is watching that dynamic change in those relationships where if it was a spouse, maybe now it is mimicking more of a parent-child relationship. If it is your parent you're caregiving for, now you are in that senior adult role and they are more in the child role. And that really can go for any kind of dynamic, but there is grieving that goes on when that happens for the loss and change in that relationship, as well as losing that, a lot of times for people, core friendship and core support person that you were used to cohabitating with and doing those things with, but now your life has shifted. In caregiving, I think getting to the heart of the emotional aspect as it is, our caregivers are in this prolonged state of stress. So when people, talk about the research with the fight or flight response, they are in that. We are in that as caregivers, because you are prioritizing that person's well-being and survival over everything. So then that prolonged stress really starts adding up for our caregivers and starts showing itself in other ways in their life.
And with a cancer diagnosis, I would think, and Mr. Ellis, you experience it, I would think it's even more difficult because of is this medication is this working? And we'll come back we need to take a break, but we'll come back on the other side and talk a little bit about how caregiving is different when we talk about cancer. We'll see you on the other side. Your health and you. Again, we are talking a little bit about caregiving and the weight that we carry in being caregivers, and specifically looking at cancer patients and their caregivers. We want to hear from you. The phone number to call in and join this conversation: 414-444-5250 or 414-444-5253. And we were just talking to Miss Anissa Johnsen, who is a social worker, oncology social worker at Froedtert Theta Care, in the Quality of Life Center, in the Cancer Center. And totally forgot where we were supposed to start off at on the way back in. But just that whole caregiving component, looking at how we don't take care of ourselves, looking at when you are a caregiver, um, just what message would you share with individuals about the importance of self-care during caregiving?
Yes, we as caregivers don't always practice what we preach, but
Definitely.
I will beg our caregivers to not cancel their own appointments.
Oh, gosh.
So we all, as caregivers, reschedule our dentist and doctor's appointments and maybe mental health appointments. And it is so important that you at least keep some of those
Mhm.
to do those check-ins for yourself, because we know statistically that caregivers' health does take a decline
Mhm.
when they are prioritizing the caregiving for somebody else. So it's very important. Keep in communication with someone in your life that can be of support to you, whether it's a family member, a chat room, an online support group. It's really important to have an external, non-bias contact that is not enmeshed in your caregiving world to provide some kind of support for you. And if that's a mental health professional, great. If it's a peer support group, that's wonderful as well. Our caregivers take on too many responsibilities, so it's also important to set reachable goals
Yes.
for yourself and
Yeah.
your loved ones, so that you don't feel like you are what I call failing or flailing the
Yeah.
majority of
Yeah.
the time. Because is our social work team at the Froedtert Cancer Center every day is praising our caregivers and assessing what their needs are, and encouraging our medical team providers to involve them and ask how they're doing and check on them as caregivers, because they are such an important point of our patient's success and how they are going to survive their cancer and how they're going to do through treatment. In addition to, cancer can affect everybody. So we certainly don't want to disregard the caregivers as someone, that is less than is part of our care team, because they are at times the most important part.
The one thing I can remember is forgetting to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something
Yeah.
as simple as, so do you need something to eat? What have you eaten today? Asking that question. And it just reminds you,
Right.
because you're on autopilot and you don't think about it, and you worry about your loved one eating, and did they get everything they need, and did they eat before their medication? And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, I didn't take my pills this morning. I didn't eat this morning. I didn't eat today.
Right. Yeah,
And
it's
so
being pushed down and pushed back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like when you prepare meals for your loved one, make it that both of you are eating together.
Right. Grab a couple bites.
Yes, grab
Do
a couple
something.
bites. Yes. Do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
And
so important.
and it doesn't help that, unfortunately, specifically where we live in Milwaukee County, there is definitely a shortage of respite resources.
Mhm.
And, typically Medicaid is the only insurance in this state that will pay for in-home personal care workers and home
Yes.
health aides, whether that is a relative that's hired or a private agency worker. So telling our caregivers to take a break or go to the
Yeah.
gym or grab lunch with a friend is like, it's
Yeah.
way
How?
easier said than done. Like,
Yeah.
who is going to take their spot if you
Right.
don't have, thankfully you mentioned that, you had a relative that was able to swap out and you guys kind of teamwork shared that caregiving responsibility. But a lot of people aren't in that situation. So they either have to bring their person with them that they're caregiving for, or they just don't go.
Mhm.
Right.
So true. So
True.
true.
If I may say, I can
Please.
say that my sister basically was in the hospital for 8 weeks. My other sister, Clara, is we would have to beg her to go home because the simple reason is she was there with my sister 24/24. And occasionally, we would go and relieve her, and she would only go home, take a shower, eat,
Come right
and
back.
she would come right back.
Yeah, and that's a very good point to make, Mr. Ellis. And I can speak from personal experience from caregiving. One would think that when you're, and especially because I have such faith and pride and confidence in working for Froedtert and at Froedtert, and some of my colleagues obviously were on the oncology units when my loved one was hospitalized. You would think that I would have been there less because they are receiving 24/7 care.
Yes.
And I actually knew the people that were caring for them. But oh no, I was there 14, 15 hours a day. I did what you did. I skipped meals. I went home and I came right back just because, normally, when our loved ones are in the hospital, they are sicker. So you don't feel relaxed.
Right,
You
and
actually feel worse.
Right, and because you feel that you need to be there.
Right. Yep. Am
you
I
get
going to
that-
miss the rounding? Am I going to miss the
Right.
latest scan
Right.
conversation? Are they going to change a med while I'm not
Right.
there?
Yeah.
Are they going to, try something that maybe I wouldn't support? It's
Yeah.
just hard to say,
My dad actually told the nurses one time not to let me in. Not to, yeah.
He wanted you to go home.
He wanted me to go
Yeah.
home, and he felt I was going to lose my job. That was always his thing. You're going to lose that good job you got. You need to go to work. Go to work.
Mhm.
Come after don't let her in. And he told them, do not let her in. I don't want any visitors, including my daughter. And I was like, I'm your power of attorney. Wait, you can't do.
Overrule me.
I know. I was like, put him to sleep so I can go in there and check and see what's happening. But then he told them that I couldn't come. But then he would call me at work and be like, so, Deb, they trying to give me this blue pill and this white pill, and I've never seen those, and they said it's the same one I've been taking. Is it the right? So I was like, see, if I was there,
Yeah.
I would have heard it and said, just take your pills.
Yeah.
Reverse
Yeah.
psychology.
I think it's
Yes.
caregivers can have a little peace when their loved one's in the hospital. That you can be phoned on speakerphone when the teams
Yes.
are rounding. And
Right.
so you are not, there's so many providers that you
So
are going to
much.
miss somebody,
Yes.
but
Yes.
at least you get the bulk of the plan for the
Mhm.
day. You can be present on the phone and not risk your job or losing your position or God
Mhm.
forbid your own health insurance or
Right,
things that
right.
spiral
Yeah,
income, from caregiving as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I think your inner self, you feel basically you're needed because you're comforting them, and your inner self tells
Yes. And
Yeah.
you
there's,
that you need to be there.
yeah, and there's a huge aspect to why caregivers burn out is because we assume that level of control
Mhm.
Right.
and comfortability with knowing we are the dependable person. And so releasing some of that trust in some of those roles is very difficult
Very
It is.
difficult, yes.
to do because as a caregiver, typically your loved one inside and out and want to be consulted and want to be in the know.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that obviously leads to, unfortunate exhaustion and burnout for our
Yeah.
caregivers, which is something we have to protect as,
Yeah, definitely.
medical providers.
Definitely. Well, someone who has experienced this is my next guest, and she as a community advocate, a retired school nurse, and we have a program at the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Center called Ribbons of Faith, and she is a Ribbons of Faith ambassador for Tabernacle Church. She currently serves as a community health advocate through her church. She's had personal caregiving experience, and she believes in promoting health awareness. Miss Debra Lawson, we thank you for coming with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Totally. Want to learn a little bit more about your experience as a caregiver and some of the things that you've learned. But first, let's step back. There are expectations that we are strong, that women are strong. What's your perspective on that?
I think it's because of historical trauma. We were always expected to carry the weight. From the slave ships to the plantation blocks, we've had to be strong. We've had to take care of our kids, the master's kids. thus, that's where it comes that we have to be strong. Our men have been demasculated. The jobs moved out of Milwaukee. The factory workers, everybody had good paying jobs at that time. Then came the welfare checks, and women had to live by themselves to get those checks. It's just been a lot of history. And then we had the feminist movement. We had after that came, we have to be independent. Oprah Winfrey, her shows told us that we have to be independent. We can do, and then Mary J. Blige said we can do bad by ourselves. So therefore, we had to be strong and carry the weight. I like to go back to Mr. Ellis. I also had perfect attendance at my job for 26 years at MPS.
Right.
And in 2019, God spoke to me and told me that I needed to retire. And I didn't know why at the time, but it was to spend that last quality time with my mother. In 2020, COVID hit. I also was a caretaker for my granddaughter, had to come because we were on virtual learning. She had to come and stay with me during the day while her parents worked. And then as my mother's illness, my mother was able to go to Bethesda daycare, senior citizen during the day, which was great. She loved it. It was a social outlet for her. She was able to play cards, interact with people, eat, exercise. COVID came, center closed. It was a difficult time. And then one of the grandkids brought COVID into the house. And within a few days, my mother passed. So, but for years, we cared for her. The grandkids were there. But she was 90 and she didn't have dementia. She was in good health. And I don't know why I didn't contract COVID, because I really don't know, but I guess it was just the grace and mercy of God, because I was up under her. But it was a difficult time, and it's still difficult to talk about. And what we don't realize is because she worked, she didn't have we couldn't get everything free. We had to pay out of pocket for everything. That's another thing that I'm good. I don't need tissue.
Okay.
I'm holding it together. But it was a difficult time.
One of the things that you mention often is the societal pressures, an image of what we are and who we are as women, and the expectations are set. Like I do think about that Mary J. Blige. We can do bad all by ourselves, but we can truly do bad. I wanted to start it that way, but it's one of the things that you think about, the expectations, and then we feel that we have to live up to those expectations. Meanwhile, we're falling apart on the inside, and no one sees it. But we have to remain strong throughout everything that's going on around us, that's going in total chaos. When you look at caregiving, not only within families, but also within communities, you touched on a lot, which was really critical, about the community. My grandson he started K-5 during COVID. And I had to beg the teachers, don't fail him, because his grandma does not know how to work these classrooms. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But he was with me during K-5, so his mom could work. And it was, a lot of families played that role. But the caregiving from a community aspect, what did you see as you watched your faith community go through caregiving, not only during COVID, but even now?
Well, culturally, it's expected that we take care of our own, and that's what we do. We step up and we take care of our own, whatever it means to do. We do it. Um, it's an expectation that we have always lived with. Um,
It's yeah, and it's I mean taking care of our own, knowing the resources, and I think like not knowing and not tapping into like the social workers and not reaching and not admitting even when you're going through illnesses that you need help. That can be part of it.
yes. And just recently, I had a church member. She fell in her home, broke her femur,
Mm.
and I became her caregiver. Um, I was at Froedtert day in and day out for weeks, and then she went to rehab, and I played that part. I was there for rehab, sometimes morning to night, until her daughter was able to come and be. She lives out of town,
Mhm.
so as a faith-based community, that's what we do. We step up and we help members of our congregation
Mhm.
because that's what our pastor encourages us to do.
Mhm.
I was on a call last night, and one of our members have asked for us to bring food by. And so the different ministries will bring food for her starting next week to help her out with caregiving for her husband.
Mm. So the resources are really you use internal
Internal resources to solve the problem.
to solve the problem.
Mhm.
And Nissa, do you see that often that there are internal, or is it more so that individuals are isolated and they don't have the faith community or other communities that can step in like that?
Yeah, it really varies. It varies on the congregations themselves and the resources and programs they have in place,
Mm.
or the individuals they have in place that open their hearts and their time and money
Mhm.
to caregive for potentially strangers, but they are church members, so they're part of that
Family,
community
yeah.
family. And then there's other people who don't practice a faith and they are not connected and they are not established. And maybe there is a host church that takes them in and adopts them in need because like a provider asks them to or tries to connect them. And then there are county-based programs and nonprofits and volunteer organizations that social workers know a lot about that we connect people to once we identify the need
Mhm.
and try to fill that gap because there are so many people that need caregiving that
Mhm.
don't have someone in their life to play that role.
Mhm. All right. And we have a caller on the line. Thank you, caller. Go right ahead.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Miss Deb. And good morning to Mr. Ryder. Good morning, Mr. Devo. Good morning, Milwaukee. Everyone in the studio.
Good
Tyrone
morning,
W
sir.
speaking.
Hello, Tyrone W. How
Good
are you this
morning.
morning?
Good morning, dear. AKA Rafiq Muhammad Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
Uh,
salam.
yes, indeed. And Ramadan Mubarak. A couple questions real quickly to Mr. Ellis, and I didn't hear Dr. Izzard.
No, he's not here today.
No, he's not here today.
But I guess we do need it because I guess one of my questions is diagnosis, but then on the other side of that is misdiagnosis. So I would kind of like Dr. Izzard to handle that because if Mr. Ellis has any knowledge on that, maybe he can speak to it since Dr. Izzard isn't there. And my condolences go out to the young lady losing her mother passing with COVID coming in. But I guess that's what I was going to say, is there any way we can get to Washington, D.C. because all these vehicles, I know people love to drive, you got people stealing vehicles and stuff, but people love to drive, but all this stuff, just the emissions and spewing into the air and stuff. She said the child brought the virus home and gave it to the grandmother. But I mean, should we be to a point to where it's almost to the point to where we need oxygen and air, so we got to open up the windows. But man, what is Washington, D.C. doing to see that our air is clean and our water, lead, you can't boil lead out of water. So our drinking supply, our water, our air, different things are feeding us, so they're killing us. So what do we got to do to go to Washington, D.C. other than this idiot Trump? I mean, what do we got to do to say, well, what's coming out of these vehicles, the back end and stuff that's killing us, that's giving us all these different viruses and stuff. And man, it's one after the other. Corona, Delta, COVID. I mean, just down the list of SARS and all this other stuff. I mean, what's next? So it's always something.
Mhm.
So we got to get them to and give us some of the money back instead of all this BS they're spending it on, and maybe we can try to get things right. So do vote, get out and vote, bring the youngest ones, get out and vote, and then let's get some of this stuff changed, turned around. Thank you very much. Have a great day and a great weekend. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Mr.
All right. The only
Thank
thing
you,
that I would
Tyrone.
like to say is each and every individual is entitled to a second opinion. If you feel that you've been misdiagnosed, then you should go and get a second opinion. I'm not going to go into the medical part because I'm not a medical physician. So therefore, I'm just going to say, go out and get yourself a second opinion and talk to your family and take it from there.
And I do want to say on YouTube, we have somebody that I don't know if you remember, Mr. Robert Mann. He said
I do.
you were his nurse. He had severe asthma at Sarah Scott, and you cared for a lot of students. And he watched how you did your job with a smile on your face and caring for all the kids whenever he seen you. And you always had a smile, taking care of the kids. So the lives you touch when you don't even know, we're being watched when we don't know we're being watched. So thank you, Mr. Mann. And she does remember you.
Yes.
Must have been in trouble a lot, Mr. Mann. You think so? I don't know. One of the things I want to, and Tyrone W., thank you so much for the call. One of the things that you brought up, environmental issues and cancer, gave me an idea for another show. There are some environmental factors that we can talk about. But today, in talking about caregiving, coming back to Ms. Lawson, having that family, that faith-based family, being able to come together. What do you think other communities can do to help support caregivers?
They can support caregivers by giving them education and the resources they need. This upcoming event on Saturday, April 25th, will be a good community resource for them to come and learn more about self-care and wellness activities.
And that's
Rest-
been, yeah.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
think they just need information. They need to know where to go. There's respite care. I do Saturday forums once a month at our church, and Chanel Snowden owns Legacy, and it provides respite care for seniors and those who are dealing with dementia. So we need to know where to go, who to tap into, what resources are available in the community.
So the forums you do on Saturday, one time per month?
One time per month,
And
every
what,
first Saturday.
the first Saturday?
Yes.
So the first Saturday at Tabernacle.
Mhm.
At what time? Sharing the resources.
It starts 10 o'clock,
At 10 a.m. Okay.
10 a.m., lasts till 11.
And 10 until 11.
Yes.
So one of the resources, 10 until 11. And then at Tabernacle, the first
First Saturday.
Saturday of the month.
Every month. Yeah.
Every month. And then the other event that you talked about, Care for the Cancer Caregiver. This is third annual time that we're holding this on April 25th from 9:30 till 2. And this is for the cancer caregiver. It's being held at Thrive On. And lunch is provided, free parking, resources. This is an opportunity to come and learn about resources for caregivers, but also to network with other people who are also doing caregiving. If you have questions about that, you can call Melanie Burns, who is coordinating this entire event. Her number 414-955-8812. And again, wanted to touch on, Ms. Lawson, the work that you do. And we'll do it as we come back from break. I want to talk a little bit about your personal experiences in caregiving, what you found that you needed and what you learned. And we'll talk a little bit about that on the other side. Welcome back, family. Welcome back, family. We are here talking about caregiving, and we're doing this for a reason. We have an upcoming conference that is free to the public on April 25th. Care for the Cancer Caregiver. And this is for those of you that are caring for someone who has cancer. We have presentations that are going on talking about palliative care, myth busting about palliative care, um, self care and wellness activities, community resources. And it's being held, and I was wrong, it's not being held at Thrive On. It's actually being held at our brand new cancer center that is over on Watertown Plank Road. And in holding it at our new cancer center, you also get to do research lab tours. So if you ever wondered about what a research lab is and what that looks like, we have some of our researchers that are opening up their labs, but it's being held in our brand new cancer center, which is gorgeous. And that's April 25th from 9:30 to 2. For more information about how to get to register for that, call Melanie Burns, who is doing a phenomenal job of coordinating this, at 414-955-8812. Again, that is Saturday, April 25th from 9:30 to 2 at the MCW Cancer or Center for Cancer Discovery over on Watertown Plank Road. And I'm talking to my guests today, one of whom is Debra Lawson, who is one of our faith ambassadors. We have a Ribbons of Faith program that works with churches. So if you are part of a church and you want to be that point person, or you have a health ministry you'd like us to help support, you can also contact Melanie for that. And again, her number 414-955-8812. And the Ribbons of Faith program, we help provide resources for our ambassadors to be able to give information to their congregation. And Miss Debra Lawson is our faith ambassador, our Ribbon of Faith ambassador for Tabernacle. And as she was speaking earlier, she has been a caregiver. And as one of our listeners on YouTube indicated, she is a nurse, retired school nurse, and took care of many of our kiddos when she was a school nurse, but also became a caregiver for her mother and before her passing. Um, and I want to ask you, Ms. Lawson, as you were doing the caregiving, I know you were probably on autopilot of just doing what needed to be done. Did you, in thinking back on that, do you think there were things that you needed or that you didn't do for yourself that you needed to take time to do?
I think at that time you only think about the person you're caring for. So your needs are put on hold. What you need as a caregiver, you need support from other family members, and that support is not always there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? You do a lot of praying, a lot of talking to God, because you have to be strong.
And that's, Miss Anissa, you have to be strong.
Right.
You have to be strong.
You have to be strong. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's such a battle, like in the medical field, because we need our caregivers to be strong and stable and committed to help our patients and to help our patients through their treatment and into survivorship in the good times and the bad times. But our expectations of them are not realistic of all the things that they need to take on in order for us to treat our patient the best that we can. So that's, part of why these discussions are so important. So people in the community know that you are important to us as caregivers. We care about you as well. It is our job as family members and care providers in the oncology field, anywhere, to address the caregiver and assess their needs the same as we do the patient, so that we are paying attention to what their lives are looking like right now and how they are affected as well.
And I think you have to be strong. I think that's one of those things that we tell ourselves. But you can also take that moment to not be strong. It's hard. This is your mom that you were caregiving for at the time. And it's difficult. That is not an easy thing to do. As I said, I was caregiving for my dad, and there were times when he was difficult and wasn't listening, or I would go to great ends to make dinner, and then he would go out to pick up dinner from KFC. There are times I wanted to lock him out. Yeah, lock him out the house. I was like, "Did you just really go?"
It's defeating. Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels defeating. And
yeah, and it's times, and you don't have to be strong. You can be, and I could call my sister. At the time, I could call my sister and go, "Do you know what this man just did?" And she would make me laugh, and I would be in tears, and she'd be like, "Okay, are we better now?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." She said, "You're not going to kill him." I was like, "No, I'm just going to put him out the house." And she was like, "You're not going to do that either." And I go downstairs, and he would be getting the girls ready for bed, or the funniest part, trying to comb their hair, which was totally. I was like, "Daddy, just please stop." But the girls thought it was funny. But it was levity. It helped me to sit back and relax, so I don't have to be strong all the time. And it's that superwoman complex that we don't have to always be there. And we have a caller on the line. Caller, go right ahead. Welcome to Your Health and You.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Assalamu alaikum, and it's Eid Mubarak. Ramadan has ended. So, most blessed and successful Ramadan to everyone who was able to participate and be successful. But what I primarily called about is that you all are talking about caregiving. And I used to do that for a while. I started with my mom, then I also did it for a close friend. And I know this, that anyone who would incline to be a caregiver has to have compassion and has to be willing to you might experience some difficulty, and you might sometimes find yourself in an inhospitable environment. But I think when it comes to your parents or your parents, if you could just be retrospective with regard to reflecting on your own inability to take care of yourself as a defenseless child or human being, I think that you have to utilize that perspective and remember that had not your parent or parents or the environment that provided care for you, had it not done that, then you wouldn't be where you are as a person. Whether you're successful or not, you're breathing, and I think that that's the humanness that when it comes to being a caregiver, that it has to be at the forefront of our mind, and especially when it comes to your parent. You're like your mom, my mother, like she carried you for 9 months, and imagine what she had to go through. They say that women die in order to bring life into the world. So men don't go through that. And then another thing I would say, that no one should go into caregiving as looking for a lucrative windfall. It should be based upon compassion, the service of a human being or another human being, or just knowing that, this person loved me so much when I couldn't even wipe my nothing. And now I need to show them that same love, because they could have just thrown me in the garbage, like, that song, Brenda's Got a Baby type stuff, or just gave you to an orphanage, or they could have been the worst parent that you can imagine, or the worst person. So I think that at the root of it, it's a noble thing and it's honorable. You have to be compassionate, be understanding, be have long patience, and that sometimes be willing to take a little bit of suffering, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
It does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for my call.
Thank you.
Eid Mubarak.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I like what he said about compassion. Compassion is so important. I remember my mother always telling me, "Thank you for having patience with me,"
Mm.
and that's really stuck with me. So you have to have compassion to be a caregiver.
And even when they thank you, it felt odd.
Yes,
Yes.
So it was like, what
I
was,
should be doing this.
Yeah.
Why are you thanking me?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's that thing where, you just kind of like, okay, you housed me for so many years. We aren't going to go to that. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's one of those things. Thank me for being patient. Do you remember when I was 13 and irritating? Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it is one of those things where it does take, but he touched on something, being compassionate,
Mhm.
Mhm.
being and not expecting
Anything in
anything
return.
in
Yeah.
return. Yeah.
Right.
And we have to remember that, caregivers are all around us and they
Yes.
are average people going to work,
Right.
caring for their own families. And they stepped up when they were called in a situation to play that role. And now they are living their life and they're living this, superhuman role
Yes.
of taking on another person, the responsibility of another person. And that caller brought up some good points about the human emotion side to it, which is caregivers have the right and should at times be irritable and be sad and be frustrated for the loss of time, for the loss of, relationship dynamics, things we touched on before. And that's why it's so important to check in with them, because caregivers are, just like the rest of us, they have a range of emotions, but they are overly stressed
Mhm.
and overly exhausted. And so we especially need to help them with coping skills, with resources, whether that be a mental health counselor, a caregiver support group, a meditation app,
Mhm. Yes.
10-minute
Yes.
walk, whatever work, a prayer time, whatever works for them. Is you all had mentioned, it's important to have someone in your life that checks in on the caregiver and allows them that time.
Definitely. And we have another caller on the line. Caller, go right ahead. Caller, and if you can turn down your radio, go right ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm in the car,
That's okay.
so it's probably going to sort of echo back in. But I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Christopher said too. Me and my brothers right now, and especially my younger brother, they really stepped up to the plate. My dad has early Alzheimer's, and my mom was refusing to go get herself checked out, but she's going through it. So she's moved in with my brother. And as much love as you can give them, let's keep it real. It can be very frustrating at times, like I think the lady just said. And, the hardest part was getting my dad to get up those driver's license.
Oh,
That was really hard because, he still wanted that independence. And for him to get up those driver's licenses really hurt him because we had to take the car in and everything, and that really hurt his feelings. But he realized now that he couldn't drive anymore, but convincing him to do that, we even had to have the doctor send the thing in so that's where he couldn't even drive anymore. And that really hurt his feelings real bad. But the other part I want to say too, being a caregiver is probably one of the most compassionate things that you're going to do, like Christopher said. But it's also going to be one of the most hardest things you're going to do.
Definitely.
So, St. James United Methodist Church, the women have a caregivers luncheon every year.
Oh.
And so what I'm going to do, I got to get some more details, and we have a meeting tonight. But I'm going to try and come back with that information and invite the public to it.
Perfect.
So, because people need that break.
Yes.
And even though you don't need a thank you, it is nice to hear a thank you, and that somebody's thinking about the caregivers too. So I'm going to come back. When do you guys come on? Every what?
It's the first and third Fridays.
First and third Fridays. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm going to come back with more information
Okay.
if you guys. As a matter of fact, if I can, one of the two ladies that organize it, I'm going to see if I can get them to come on if it's okay, they can come on your show and talk about it.
Awesome. If you, the phone number
Because
for.
I'm gonna be serious with you.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll be a little bit disappointed that we don't have more people there than we anticipated. So it will be really nice to have a nice turnout.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I'm in the car, so I just turned on the radio earlier today. So hopefully I can make it back home.
That's okay. We
And
appreciate anything you can do.
get your names for YouTube. And
Okay.
so they could maybe call in and talk about maybe coming on your show and talking about this caregiving podcast.
That'll be perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one other caller. Caller, go right ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Annette, and I was a caregiver in many areas for over 50 years, whether it was in a hospital, group home, or abroad. And my biggest areas were with my seniors. And I had to let it go. Because now I'm the one needing care. So I just wanted to say to the caregivers that are out there and to the younger ones that are out there when they come to see me, I get to be picky, but I don't want to run them off, you know. But the training really is good for the, you know, when you're dealing with the mental part, because you have to take on a different task, and you take it home with you, and you have to really, like you were saying, the caregiver burnout is what I talk to them. I allow my caregivers to just sit down, have a cup of coffee with me, just sit down and just relax. Don't just jump into work. Just sit down, have a cup of coffee, because I don't want them to be burnt out, you know, just so burnt out that they just don't know which way to go, you know. And especially when you're dealing with TBIs, which are mental, you're dealing with the mental ones. And those were the ones that were the challenging ones for me when I, as a caregiver. All areas of training is so important. Write your notes. It's so important we do your notes. And Christopher, thank you, because when he said about his mother, having a close relationship with your mom is so beautiful. I needed to hear that this morning, because sometimes moms don't feel appreciated. I really appreciate what he said this morning. I needed that. Thank you for the show and the caregivers. I love you guys for that. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
Thank you, and God bless,
God
Miss
bless
Annette.
you.
We appreciate you. It's one of those things, and the question that's come up on chat, and this is another cultural thing, I think, Ms. Lawson. So help me answer what I think is the answer. Making the decision to take care of a loved one yourself, as opposed to putting someone in a nursing home.
We know that we can better care for that person. I mean, it's just, I think has always been like taboo. Just, they took care of you, so why can't you take care of them? And my experience is my mother spent a couple rehab in different nursing homes, and she wasn't taken care of. So, and it was horrible to see her have to go through that. And then we had to spend time there still taking care of her while she did that rehab time. So it was better for her to be in a home.
And I think culturally, and I know from my family, it wasn't something that was even thought about.
Right.
I mean,
we don't think about it.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily an option, as long as there was someone who could take care of that loved one. It's my grandmother on my father's side had Alzheimer's, and we didn't even realize, they lived in Pittsburgh. We didn't even realize, because my dad had 13 siblings, and the girls were taking care of grandma so well that no one knew that she would wander off because the girls would just go and get her and bring her back home until my dad called one day because we were going to visit. My dad called and she didn't know who he was. And my father was like, wait a minute. I just talked to her the other day. We talked about, and they were like, well, yeah, she's kind of having some issues with her memory. And that's when we were like, wait, she's getting Alzheimer's. What are we doing? And the girls had it all lined. They could tell us everything that was going on. But when it got really bad, then they did, because everybody was working. So they did have to, when she started to sunset, they did have to put her in. But the nursing home to me was not even a nursing home. I think it was owned by one of my aunties or something, because I was like, this is grandma's room. This is nice. It was, but it's some of those things that you just think about. It's not, if you have the resources and the availability to do it, you would do it. But it's not something that
It's something we think about.
it's not something we think about.
No.
Yeah. It's really interesting, but it's a cultural thing.
Yes,
And making that decision is hard,
it is.
I think. And Nissa, you've probably
Yeah.
seen people having to make that.
Yep. And you look at, speaking of culturally in other countries, there is not the number of nursing homes in other countries the way there is in the
Right,
US,
in the
because
United
of the
States.
way our employment system is set up, and there's no benefits for caregivers or paid FMLA. There's a whole, don't get me started on the soapbox of systemic issues
Oh, yes.
that caregivers need in place to
Yes.
properly fulfill that role. But yeah, I think it's a real difficult decision that families make when their loved one breaks their hips or has a TBI, a brain injury, as that caller was mentioning, or advanced
Mhm.
dementia, or even in a cancer situation where there aren't other adults in the family to care for them at home, or
Mhm.
they don't have an option to work remotely. They can't
Yeah.
take a leave. We know FMLA for 12 weeks of job protection is unpaid.
Yes. Yes.
And not all employers have to offer it if they have under 50 employees. There's all
true.
these parameters around that. So sometimes, unfortunately, people have to make the very difficult decision to place their loved ones in a group home or a nursing home, or what we call subacute rehab, where it's assessed to be temporary for a few weeks or a
Mhm.
month and then transition home. But when people, obviously, for anybody that has the resources, whether it's family members or they have the financial status to pay for those personal care workers or home health aides and fill in the gaps that way, obviously people would prefer that, but it's not doable for a lot of our families.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, and one of the listeners is saying, it can become overwhelming.
Yes.
It can become overwhelming, and trying to care for someone in the home. My maternal grandmother tried to care for my grandfather, and he also had Alzheimer's, and she tried to do it in the home, but they were both aging, and my grandfather did not recognize her sometimes and would actually get physically violent. And so and they were living in Prentice, Mississippi, which is like this big.
Mhm.
So we were finally talked grandma into putting him into the nurse, and she was the same thing, 24/7. She was there. If I wanted to reach her, I would call the nursing home and I'd be like, is grandma there? Can you make sure? And it was funny because they were checking her blood pressure, feeding both of them. And then when my grandmother fell, she was in the nursing home with him. And she actually ended up passing before my grandfather did. And it was like, because you took so much good care of him,
Yeah.
you wore yourself out. But it's one of those things of not having the resources. And it can be overwhelming, especially if you don't have the wherewithal or the resources or even know where to begin. It can be difficult.
Right. And I, just want to remind people in the community that social workers, again, are everywhere. You don't have to just be in the hospital. I have a wonderful 5-person team in the cancer center, which is outpatient, but social workers are at primary care offices.
Yes.
They're at nonprofits. They're sometimes in your church even.
Yeah.
So we're resource specialists and advocates and coordinators. And so please utilize, this profession in your community, so you're not trying to reinvent the wheel
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
wondering and waiting to see what do I qualify for? Is there help for me? Should I be connected to something or someone? Because there are professionals in the community to do that with you.
And I just want to thank my sister, my niece who would come and bathe my mother, the grandkids who would come and talk to her in her room and just spend time with her. Like I said, family support is very crucial in caregiving.
And families don't realize that couple of minutes that they come in to distract, if you will, to talk to them for a while, that gives the caregiver a break. That even that much makes a difference. And it's time for a break. We will come back on the other side to continue this conversation. Your Health and You, talking about caring for the caregiver. We'll talk to you on the other side. Welcome back, family. Welcome back to Your Health and You, brought to you by the Medical College of Wisconsin Cancer Center. And today we are talking about caregivers. And I have with me, of course, my health griot, Mr. Ellis here, who was a caregiver and also received, his wife was his caregiver. I have Miss Anissa, who is a social worker at the Quality of Life Center, an oncology social worker, and Miss Debra Lawson, who has been a caregiver, but who is also a Ribbons of Faith ambassador at Tabernacle. And we're focused on this conversation because on April 25th, from 9:30 until 2, you can come and visit the brand new Medical College of Wisconsin Center for Cancer Discovery, while also getting resources for caregivers. We have a conference, our third annual conference, Care for the Cancer Caregiver, on April 25th from 9:30 till 2. Come and just learn more about resources that are available. And if you want to register, you can contact Melanie Burns. That is at 414-955-8812. And this is this is what these resources are for. These are for you. As we come back, we have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to Your Health and You.
Shalom, family.
Good morning.
I was listening to the show regarding care for the caregivers, and I've been providing care for my mom for over the past 7 years, transitioning from her partial independence, still being capable of, dressing herself and toileting and things of that nature, to now being in a hospice, in-home hospice condition. And one of the things I've recognized, and I don't know if it was mentioned, so I thought I'd call and just encourage those caregivers to make sure that they put time and effort into their own physical fitness, because I think that helps with not only the physical strength you need in order to move your loved one and provide the care that they need, but sustaining yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps with, the psychological effects that I've heard, comments made regarding, how we need to approach this from that perspective. The therapy support that may be needed. I believe all those things, physical fitness attributes or supports our mental capabilities and being able to maintain and sustain the emotional capacity that it needs to be able to, stay focused and be willing to make the sacrifices and to do the work, the planning, all those types of things that go into being a caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also just add to that in closing that I found it to be one of the most rewarding things that I've been able to do in my lifetime, because, it is a parent, it is someone you love. And I was just talking to a friend yesterday about this very thing, and being privileged to be able to care for your loved one, as you all were talking about, maybe not having the resources or whatever those situations may be, but it does require sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
It does require a commitment to provide them with the best care that they can get in these golden years, if you will. So I just wanted to add that, because I do consider it a privilege, and just recognizing that it allows for my extended family, my siblings, the grandchildren to all have a comfort level in knowing that their grandmother and their mother is cared for by someone who truly does love her, rather than just putting them in a home where that work is, attached to a paycheck. And so I just wanted to share those thoughts because those are some of the things, and the other things that I've heard and the comments that I've heard you all make related to the difficulty. I mean, all those things are real. But the reward that comes when you see that smile on a person's face who has cared for you and knowing that you're doing your best and that concern of what kind of care they're being provided in those professional environments, it becomes minimized, I guess. I'll put it that way. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for calling in. I think we can totally agree with that. The importance of the sacrifice and commitment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. And he mentioned he's taking care of his mom. She's doing hospice care at home. Ms. Anissa, can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, I think sometimes from the caregiving perspective, there's a misconception that when someone enters hospice care, that hospice staff is going to be there 24/7. And that is actually not accurate of any agency, despite, their best efforts. And that's not something that's going to be covered by insurance either. So when someone enters home hospice care, their loved ones are still taking on the bulk of the responsibility of doing the medications, things like mouth cares, making sure their loved one, has, the water with the sponge on it, make sure they're being turned, make sure their feet aren't cold, the toileting and the bathing. And as things progress towards the end of life, that obviously gets more intense. And so, I have a very strong support of in-home hospice agencies because of the comprehensive care that they provide. There's the doctor, the nurses, the health aides, the technicians, the chaplains, the social workers, the mental health counselors. They offer this all-encompassing service that goes to your family in your home in your most intense time of need. And so it's great when those services are available to people, when they need them, when they're aware of them, and when the medical team can put that referral in a timely manner so that we can get in front of any of those intense struggles that could happen at home by using the hospice services.
And the caller also mentioned the rest of the family can rest knowing that mom, grandma is being cared for by someone who loves them, and accessible. I can go over and see her. And that's kind of a calming piece too for the family to be able to know she's right there.
Yeah, and it's he brought up a very good aspect of caregiving, which is the intergenerational caregiving of even when you don't realize it, if you're an adult and you have younger children, they are watching you caregive. You are role modeling for them how you take care of a loved one, how you step up in that time of need, how you use appropriate resources in the community, and also how you take care of yourself. They are watching you if you're burning out. They're watching you if you're taking a minute to cry in the bathroom by yourself, to take a phone call from a friend. I had a friend of mine, we were just talking about running into people like in the medical facilities or the cancer center. And I didn't know this acquaintance, this friend had a relative with cancer. So I ran into them and we got to talking, and she was giving examples of how her young child was actually starting to interact and caregive a little bit just by watching their parents do it, bringing water to the grandparents, bringing slippers, lotion, even when they noticed like they were scratching their skin. It was just very little detail things. And I said, you must be doing a great job caregiving because your little one is watching you and they are participating and learning from you, in the event that someday they themselves will be called, into that role.
it's that, and that intergenerational part is so
Mhm.
key. And someone noted how family dynamics have changed over the years, but so much has still remained the same in the feeling of responsibility. Um, and I think just one thing I think we want to leave on is just breaking that idea that we have to always be strong, that the caregiver has to always be that strong pillar, but that we as a community or a family surrounding that individual needs to understand maybe that person needs a break. Maybe if I just go in and read to the loved one for a little bit, that'll give them a moment to pass out in the corner, which is probably. I can remember going in, and my sister-in-law was sitting with with my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law was just awake and watching television. My sister-in-law was snoring. She was gone. And I was like, if you don't get up and go to bed, and I'll sit here with mama and we'll do, but you need to go to bed. And she's like, no, I'm awake. And I was like, no, you're not. You woke me up snoring. I need you to go. But it's a matter of, just even sitting with a loved one so that I can, I can go and take a shower, or I can go in the bathroom and just cry and let it go. But breaking that myth that we always have to be strong is so important. And not being afraid of asking for help.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that the level of, and our last caller spoke to this, emotional stamina that is required to be a caregiver is
Mm.
probably their most exhausting part of it. Having to be on 24/7. There is no deep sleeping.
Yes.
There is no sitting down for full meals most of the
Mm-mm.
time. So yeah, and again, going back to the humanality of it all, that we need to be okay with not presenting as strong all
Mhm.
of the time.
And it's okay to say, I'm not okay.
Mhm.
It's okay to say, I am not okay.
It is.
Yes.
And I need help.
Mm-hmm.
And to ask for that. And to ask for that.
Mhm.
This is so important. And I'm so glad that you, Milwaukee family, were able to join with us in this conversation. And also, it also makes take a moment to say, maybe I should check in on so and so because I know that they're taking care of their loved one. Yeah, maybe I'll just run as Tabernacle is doing it, and other faith communities are doing. Maybe I should just run a plate by, or run a casserole over, or whatever it is to this family because I know that they are taking care of loved ones. And I know maybe I'll offer to sit for a while so they can get out and go to a movie or do something. Take that moment to care for others in your community so that they can do that. And then also the other, and Melanie, who is coordinating our conference, she and I have talked about this. We have this conference. Yes, we want you to come. We want caregivers to come, but there's also the difficulty with caregivers. When can you find a full day? And we've had caregivers that have come to the conference before and brought the one that the loved one that they're caring with, which is fine if they're able to do that. But we also acknowledge that there is a barrier for some who don't have someone to fill in.
That's true.
Right.
So if you know of someone who's a caregiver and you think that this conference might be helpful, maybe you can step in and say, I'll sit with your loved one. You tell me the daily routine, and I'll sit while you go and get this resource, while you take this day to take care of yourself. Again, the Care for the Caregiver conference is being held on Saturday, April 25th from 9:30 to 2. Lunch will be provided. There's free parking, and it's being held at our brand new MCW Center for Cancer Discovery at 8701 West Watertown Plank Road. If you've ever wondered what this building looks like, not only do you get to come into the building for this conference, but you can also do some tours of our researcher labs. We have several researchers that are opening up their labs, so you can come and see that. The other things that we have going on that I want to alert you to is on, let me see, on April 18th from 9 until 1 at G's Clippers, a wonderful partnership that we have at G's Clippers. We're doing a hair, skin, and nail screening event. with Dr. Vaughn. We've done this before. We had lines and lines and lines of folks who were coming. And this hair, skin, and nails, I do want to say, this screening is not just for women. We often had men that came in and said, well, I thought this, you said hair, skin, and nails. It sounds like women. No, this is for everybody. And I will tell you, Dr. Vaughn and her team are phenomenal. You will be taking off your shoes because they need to check your feet. There is skin on your feet. You have nails on your toes. So they want to look at all of your nails, all of the skin. So this is a great opportunity. And then if you need a referral, we also can refer you to providers that are close to where you live for follow-up care. We also are working collaboratively with Black Men Organizing. They're having a prostate health event. We're having more details about that. We'll be telling you about that's coming up soon. That's going to be about a 2.5-hour event, but we'll give you more details about that next time we're on the air. And again, the big event that's coming up that we definitely want you to be at, Care for the Cancer Caregiver at the Center for Cancer Discovery out on Watertown Plank Road. This is from 9:30 until 2 p.m. This is focused on supporting the emotional and practical needs of cancer caregivers. We encourage you to attend, share it with your family members, stay connected to community health resources by attending this event. So I just want to give moments for our guests, anything that you want to leave for our listeners, things that you want them to take away. Ms. Lawson.
I would like you to leave with the fact that you need to take care of yourself. Your health matters also. I'm wearing blue because it's Colorectal Awareness Month. And last year I had a colonoscopy and 4 polyps was removed. So I'm grateful for the fact that I had that screening done. And so I encourage anyone to really take care of their health, prioritize their self, and make healthcare appointments.
Thank you, Ms. Lawson. Yes, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Make sure that you're making those appointments for your colonoscopy. Mr. Ellis, your point?
My point is there again, go out and get your screening, get your checkups done. I just had my colonoscopy done. They had 2 polyps. I got it back and the results as well. Just make sure that you communicate with your family. When you talk about caregiving, you have to have a passion to treat others as you want to be treated, and discuss it with your family and try and take care of yourself. That's the most important thing I think we should do.
Thank you. And Ms. Anissa.
Yeah, I want to speak for the entire Froedtert and Medical College, so I'll speak for my cancer center team. You know, as caregivers, you are so important to us. And we care about you, and we want to make sure that your needs are being met and your concerns are being addressed. So when you are meeting with your medical team, please check in with them, ask them for things that you need, ask for a social work referral, a community contact, anything that would help make your life easier, because we know the amount of stress you are under and we want to be there for you. And I'm, you know, my colleagues there, Jackie, Emma, Kate, Katerina, and Kelly, I'm so proud to work on the oncology social work team at Froedtert. We are here to advocate for you, to be your resource connector, and to empower you to live your best life possible as well.
And as you said, if you're even if you're going to one of our community health centers, if you are working with a community-based organization, you will always be able to run into a social worker.
That's right. You're everywhere.
They are everywhere, and resources are everywhere. But make sure that you do connect if you have a need. We had a week ago, we had a community health worker conference at the Thrive On building in collaboration with the American Cancer Society. And community health workers are another resource that can connect you to social workers. So know that there are resources around you everywhere. Milwaukee, I want to thank you for joining us with Your Health and You. I want you to remember caregivers deserve the support that you can give them. Check in on those that you know are caring for others. Also, very important, check in on yourself, get your screenings done, stay healthy, and remember knowledge is power, and health is wealth. This is Your Health and You, brought to you by the Medical College at Wisconsin Cancer Center, and we'll see you on the other side.